If you've ever thought about scaling your business, you've probably considered the idea of an associate team. Well, today on Monday Magic, I'm going to share with you via my friend Mary Kathryn Carpenter how you can start to take the first steps to build your associate team and when to know it's time. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Monday Magic. My name is Rob Green. I'm a photographer and educator based out of Fort Worth, Texas. And each week, I'm here to give you tips, tricks, and inspiration to help you build your business, wow your clients, and make photo magic. And if you checked out our last episode, you heard me talking about how one of the things that I think photographers often are guilty of doing too soon in your business is adding on an associate team. Well, today, I want to bring on a photographer who has a great associate team and let her tell you about how she knew it was time to start building that team and what she started doing to get that process rolling so that if you're in that similar spot in your business and it's the right time to add one, you can do so as well. So I've got my friend Mary Kathryn Carpenter on. She's a diehard Alabama fan, so she's a little sad because my dogs beat her elephants in the national championship this year. So give her a little grace if she's got like tears running down her eyes when you see her. But she is a wizard when it comes to college and sorority photography. That's actually how we connected through our time in Hope Taylor's mastermind together. And now I've got her here because what she's doing on the University of Alabama is incredible and you need to pay attention to it. So what's up, MK? Welcome to Money Magic. So excited to have you on.
Hello. I'm so excited. I am still sad that we didn't quite bring home that national championship trophy. I might have a single tear for it. But I'm really excited to talk to you about this. It's going to be a really fun subject.
It's going to be amazing. Well, so let's start with how you got into this whole associate business to begin with, because this is a more recent development for you. One of the things that I try to tell people all the time is like, there's always ground to take when you're a business owner. You're always in progress. There's always new things you're learning. And this has been one of your more recent additions to your business build out that's really helped you do some cool things with your business. So how did you get into this whole idea of jumping into associates? What was the launching point for that?
Okay, so as you mentioned, we were together in Hope Taylor's mastermind, and being part of that mastermind and working with all of y'all awesome people who were in there with me made me realize that my business could grow in ways that it had not yet, with a little bit of delegation and trusting folks to help me do a little bit of work. But the thing that made me realize I needed to bring on some help was when I was shooting so many grads that I didn't have time to take on anymore, and I still had a 50-person wait list. It was time to start bringing on other photographers.
People on your wait list that were just like hoping that you would come back and go, hey, there's a spot for you.
Right. So it got a little out of hand. I had already passed off editing. I was not editing as much as I was. I had a editor on staff. So they were helping me get everything done as best they could. And I still didn't have the time to bring on all these grads, but I did have time during slow season to start trying to train people who could help me take care of some of this clientele.
So this wasn't just like somebody reached out about a date you were already booked and you didn't want to say no, and you thought, oh, I can make some more money. This was like people upon people upon people were reaching out and you were just watching potential income for your business just fly out the door.
Right. Every time I have to tell someone no, it physically hurts me. I hate telling people no. I hate not being able to provide the MKC photography experience for people who want it. So I had to look at my business and say, okay, you're shooting 120 grads in 3 months. How can we make that more and more and more? It's not by me making more time. There's not enough time in the day for me to quadruple the amount of people I'm shooting, but we can quadruple that number eventually down the road by bringing on some really awesome people who are ready to learn and ready to commit to the brand early on. So I'm going to backtrack that a little bit. I did end up bringing on 3 really incredible associate shooters last fall. And just to give you an idea of this, they didn't start shooting 120 grads a semester like I was doing. You know, my business is 8 years in the making. I shot my first grad in 2014. So that went from 1 to 9 to 20 to 40 to all the way up to where we're at.
Yeah.
So
what I'm curious, like what do you think were some of those key moments along the way? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who at some point will come across this video and they're going, okay, that sounds great, but I don't have 120 grads right now. So how is this relevant to me? So like, where did that growth come from for you? I mean, like you said, you've been at this for 8 years. You obviously did a lot of things right over those 8 years. What were some of those key moments along the way that took you from virtual unknown on campus to rock star with a 50-person wait list?
I always credit my first grad with this, because my first grad was a sorority sister of mine who took a chance on me. We took a 2-hour shoot session afternoon. I think she paid me like $50. And it just kind of was us going out and playing around. I was 19 at the time, so it was pretty new. I was in school for photography, so I knew what I was doing with a camera, or so I thought. I've seen those pictures recently and they're not fantastic. But I attribute all of that to her trusting me on the front end. And then her friends liked her photos, and her friends booked me when they graduated the next year. And those girls' friends and sorority littles booked me the next year. And I can't tell you how many inquiries I've gotten in the last month and a half that are, you photographed my sorority bag, or you photographed my roommate, or you photographed my sorority sister.
I
So
tell
that
my
word of
students
mouth is
all the
nuts.
time. It only takes one to get the ball rolling because college
Yeah,
students talk.
they do. They really do. I capped myself at 86 grads for the spring. I'm not taking any more. Everyone else is going to associate shooters. So
Man, that's awesome. That's so cool. Now in these more recent months, as you were trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do with this? What were some of those growth points for you over the past year that helped you really see, okay, I went from nobody with that one shoot to now the people that's getting the referrals? What were some of those key things that really kind of nudged you over the edge to the point where you needed to take on an associate team because of the wait list?
well, I'm going to tell you the main thing was my own personal FOMO. Because I hate telling people no. It was so hard for me to tell people no. And I know there are other photographers in town who want to shoot grads and they want to be a part of that, but they didn't have the body of work yet, and they didn't have the experience they needed, and they didn't really have anybody helping them along the way, which was something I wish I had had, was somebody saying, let me hold your hand and help you.
For sure.
Not to say that I'm holding these people's hands or anything, but I am doing what I can to help them understand how my business is working, so that when they're done in my associate program, they can go on and continue having a successful business.
I love
We
that
have,
mindset of like, there's plenty to go around. Like, I want to help
right,
other people to succeed because there's
exactly.
more than enough for all of us to win here.
There's an associate shooter to fit your personality and the
Love
style
that.
of shooting you want to shoot. So it's worked out great. I have a guy who's been doing a lot of great work with some of my guy graduates. I have a hard time posing guys personally, so having him to come in with a little more confidence there has been awesome. I have a girl who's a little bit older than me, and she's got a little more experience in photography than even I have. She's been an amazing photographer for years, doing weddings and family photos. So bringing her in to kind of get that grad experience. When she finishes my associate program, she's going to have clientele of her own, and I'm really excited about that. And then my third associate was actually a former grad of mine.
This is the coolest one of all to me.
This is like the coolest story. I love this girl so much. She reached out to me before I had opened my associate program wanting to learn photography, but she had never picked up a camera. So I hosted a workshop last semester, so last fall, and she attended the workshop, started learning how to do grad photos. And about a month after the workshop, I was like, you're on my team. Like, I want you. Please come be on my team.
That's so good.
And she has been my most popular associate for my grads to book with. So I am very thankful for her being on my team. I actually have about 3 people in my inbox waiting to book with her. I just haven't gotten back to their emails yet.
That's so great.
So
Man,
she's fantastic.
Now, I know you and I chatted a lot this past fall, and because you wound up being a part of the team that tested out the college and sorority course that we offer, and I was super excited about that, because I was like, man, here's somebody that's already got something good going on a campus. What can it do? Like I knew what it was going to do for getting people on campus or that weren't on campus, but I was like, what is this going to do for somebody that is already established? And so tell me a little bit about how that helped impact things for you. What were some of the things that did for you with your business as somebody that already had something great coming in?
Well, it made me kind of take a step back and look at how I was valuing my time and the product I was creating. So I talked with you a lot about this, but we restructured my entire pricing scale. And that has been the greatest big difference maker for me. I don't know if I've even told you this, but the way we structured it, I went in and just bumped each package down a little bit to be my associate package. And I think that's important to note. My associate packages are cheaper than my personal packages. Yep. So people shooting with me are paying a little more than they are to shoot with an associate. So just something important to note. But going in and really visiting, why is this worth this much? Why is my time worth this amount? Why is my editing time worth this amount? Et cetera, really gave me a sense of confidence in my pricing. And I think establishing that confidence and also giving it gave a value add to what I had already. And I mean, I'm shooting 30 less grads this semester than I did last spring, and I'm making more money than I did.
That's amazing. So you've been able to take on less responsibility, because I think it's important for people to know too, you have a full-time job. Everything that you've described has all been side hustle hours, which is just mind-blowing to me. But it's allowed you to bring on a more reasonable workload for you, right? But make more money, and then outsource things to associates, right? And bring in more for your business, which is just so stinking cool. I love that.
It's been awesome. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun. I ran some numbers today to kind of look at what I was thinking about this conversation we were going to have, and I was interested in checking to see how much of the money my associates are bringing in, like how much is that landing in my lap versus how much is paying them and paying an editor and paying whatever I need to pay service wise. And I'm still bringing in about 50% of that income. So about 50% of those packages are still landing in my lap, which is really cool. And my associates are well compensated. All they have to do is shoot. And I think that's important to understand too, like kind of the level of responsibility my associates have. And I can explain that more if you want me to.
Yeah, well, and I love that it's not just that they're well compensated, but they're also, like you were saying earlier, well set up for a future doing this on their own if they want to. Like for some people, they're like, they just love that there's somebody that will take care of all the things that you take care of for them. And they're like, you just do all that and I'll be more than happy with the way you're compensating me. Then there's other people that they're going to be able to use this as a launch pad for a career in this. So I love that, like either way they choose to go, you've helped them succeed. That's incredible.
And that gives me all the warm fuzzies too. That just made me feel really good. So.
I love it. I remember one of the things Jordan Demos told me one time. He said, because we were talking about imposter syndrome, and he was like, Rob, if you are in what you're doing to help people, you can never be an imposter. And I just thought, man, and it's so much what you're saying too. I'm going, man, that's it right there. Like you're in this, what brings you the warm fuzzies is not the extra dollars in the account. That's cool. But what's driving this for you, what gets you up out of bed and excited about this in the mornings is the fact that you're helping other people and setting them up for a successful career in this. I think that's amazing.
It's been so cool.
How do you go about let's go back to this. How do you go about finding a good associate? You obviously found 3, and one of the things I told people in this last video we did was you got to have processes before it's time to really, do something like this, because you can't just have the whole thing run wild on you. And you've already alluded to several things, but I'm curious, if somebody's here and they're going, man, this is resonating. This is the point I'm at. I need to start doing something with this, but what am I looking for? How do you find a good associate?
So in my mind, a good associate is somebody who can shoot, but beyond everything, it's just great with people. My brand in general is just client connection and being friends with the people who are my clients. And I think that is like my associate shooter, Hannah, is a really good example of that, because having been friends with her, despite her being a client, she is now part of my brand.
So good.
And that journey to me is just bonkers. Like you and I have talked about that scenario in so many different conversations. And I'm still just blown away that she went from one of my clients to one of my workshop students to now one of my associate shooters, and is killing it. Like, she's doing so good. And I'm just blown away by her. But she is an example of somebody I knew beforehand, and I knew would put in the work. And I know a lot of people are not necessarily going to know a ton of photographers who need associate work and are going to have to kind of do a cold call to strangers almost. And I did that to start with and ended up pulling one associate shooter from that. And I put out an application. I asked, what's important to you? Why do you want to be an associate shooter? What are you going to use this experience towards? How is this going to impact your life? Like, what can this do for you? Because I know what I need this to do for me.
Wow.
So I needed to make sure that this was kind of a mutually beneficial situation. And my associate, Sarah, applied for the position. She was, like I said, about one of 20. And I interviewed, I think, 5 people who were as experienced as I wanted them to be. I wasn't expecting anybody to have a ton of grad clients, but she had a ton of family clients. And I had others who were wedding photographers, others who were just all sorts of different photographers applying and wanted to break into the grad market. But I sat down with her for coffee, and we sat and chit-chatted for 2.5 hours. And she felt like my best friend at the end of it. And has done nothing but be kind to me and helpful to me. And I'm not saying put out an application for your new best friend and your associate shooter, but I got very lucky in that I love her a lot, and she's been more than just an employee. So I think finding that connection was important.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the theme I keep hearing as you're describing this is, it sounds like you're going, man, like, I can teach somebody a better composition, but I can't teach them to be a better person quite as easily. So you're looking for awesome people that have a hunger for photography more than awesome photographers that are like, okay, people.
Right. That's exactly. Great. And you're so much better with words than I am. But Hannah and Sarah are 2 great examples of, they want it. They want to do the thing, and they're going to ask me to help them and teach them. And Sarah got up with me multiple sunrises to come shadow shoots. Hannah did the same thing. They both videoed shoots, like on their phones, came with me to shoots and videoed the whole thing. And Hannah sent me photos of her and her husband in her kitchen practicing her posing, having him holding like a pot holder instead of a grad cap. And it's like, you want to find people like that who are going to commit to learning it and being passionate about it, but on top of all of it are just fun and good and nice people to be around.
Like, character first, hunger second, photo skills third.
Exactly. Like I said, Hannah, a year ago, Hannah had not picked up a camera. Like, she didn't own a camera. I sent her a link to a camera to purchase. So,
but I love too that you didn't just say, all right, you've got this camera now, I'm going to go get bookings for you. You took them out with you on shoots and let them watch you do what you do. You taught them how to repeat the successes that you had. I hear these horror stories in these Facebook groups from photographers that are like, I hired an associate and they did this gosh awful job on this wedding. And I'm thinking, like, you didn't have a system in place to teach them how to produce the end results that you have in place, And so, good on you for like taking these people under your wing and saying, like, let me show you how this is done the MKC photography way.
Well, I love that you spoke that like it was me being nice. It was me being very protective of my brand. Being like, you're not going out there with my name on your stuff if we haven't taught you how to do it.
But that's important for people to recognize, is that again, I keep hearing this theme of like, you weren't driven by dollars on this. You were driven by first by people, and then by a desire to take the things you were doing to impact people and replicate that and allow it to spread farther.
Right.
Byproduct is more money happens to come in. But the
We love
drive,
that.
the thing that motivated you on this was people and the ethos that's woven into your company. I think that's awesome. Now, let's say somebody does all these things and they grab these associates and bring them into their team and they take them through a process. Should they just expect like overnight everything, every person you bring on, like it's the first person you bring on doubles your revenue, the second person, you know, it's like now you've tripled, like how does this go?
No.
Instant success?
I wish. I would have loved that. My first two associates were ready to go last semester. So I had two ready to rock and roll who both shot last semester. And I think they each did like 2 sessions. Wow. So that was 4 when I want to say I did 70 last semester because it was a fall semester and we don't have quite as high numbers. And they did 4. And this semester, it's February right now. So I've capped my bookings at 86 sessions.
And just to point out, because I think this is so cool. When you start out, you had 2 packages. I think the starting price on one of them was $275. Is that right?
It was it was $250, I think.
$250. Okay.
It was $250, $500, and I did have a third package at $650.
Okay. And now you have a package, your high-end package runs at what?
$900. And I had 3 people book it today. Today.
I love
Which is
that.
nuts. So we're at, I want to say 18 of those 86 are the $900 package.
That is amazing. That is amazing. If anybody is watching this and thinks, 1, college is not a sustainable business model, or 2, I can't charge more than the $150 that I'm charging right now and run a successful photography business. Wrong. You actually
completely wrong.
You can't afford not to raise your prices if you want to stay in business. And college is a great place for that because it's full of people who understand the value of your work.
Right. I want to give like a little comparison. So you mentioned that I have a full-time job. I am a full-time photographer at the University of Alabama. Like that is my 8 to 5 everyday job. I am making more through my grad photography business February to April than I will in the year at my 9 to 5. But we love benefits. We love benefits and work friends. So we stay.
That's how you know this girl loves her fighting rolling elephants, is because she is making buku dollar at her full-time job and is still staying at that other job because she loves it so much. That is, I think the only thing you love more than your pie is Dr. Pepper.
Look, it's crimson red. I can't be mad at it.
Fair.
But yeah, it's nuts. I can't believe you called them the Crimson Fighting Elephants. That gives me anxiety. But
all those Alabama teams and their multiple nicknames and mascots and logos.
Auburn's worse than we are. They got 19 names.
It's true.
Can we agree on a mutual dislike for Auburn?
Definitely.
Is this our mutual ground right here?
For sure.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, as we're wrapping this up, let me ask you this. If people want to follow along with your journey and see that it's more than just me out there doing college photography successfully, how can they track along with you? Where can they find you on social media to see all the incredible work you're doing on the Alabama campus?
The easiest place to find me is on Instagram at mkc.photo. You won't find me many other places. I'm not good at social media.
We'll put a link to that down in the show notes. You'll also find a link. I've actually got a free 5-day mini course for college and sorority photography called College 101 coming up. So you'll find the link to MK's social media. You'll find the link to jump into the College 101 mini course, all in the show notes below this video. MK, thank you so much for jumping on with us today. I have a feeling this blew some people's minds just hearing what all is possible. So thanks for being a part of this, friend. And go Dogs. Go ahead.
Roll Tide. Love talking to you always.
Y'all, what in the world? Did you catch those numbers she was throwing out? Running a college and sorority business. That is the kind of system that 1, takes time to build, but 2, is the kind of system that can sustain adding on associates. If you're looking to add associates to your team, don't just do it because it's a few extra bucks. Do it because you have built a business with systems and processes that can be taught and instilled in other people and replicated so that other people can go out there as representatives of your brand and make a difference in more people's lives the way MK's associates are making a difference in other people's lives on that Alabama campus, just like she is. I hope this has been inspiring for you today. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have you following along with the story in the weeks ahead. We've got some great content headed your way. And don't forget, we've got that free 5-day mini course coming up, College 101. You can find the link below this video. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Monday Magic.